You are not the only one. You are not the only one that struggles. You are not the only one that's learning. You are not the only one that's trying. You are not the only one that feels and thinks with depth and to levels that most people probably don't understand. You're not the only one. So my objective when getting on here is to always do one of a few things: encourage, enlighten, inspire, empower. But I think the most important one is to empathize and to be raw and to be real and to be honest, because I know that those are things that I value the most. Those are things that I need the most. And not every morning is going to be a cheerful, let's go get it. Sometimes your powerful message is one that reminds you that no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what you're thinking, you are not by yourself. And I think it's important to talk about mental health as much as we talk about faith. And I say that because I think that in a lot of faith-driven conversations, churches, groups, things like that, you're always taught this thing of like, it's faith or fear. You can't have both. You can't worship and have a relationship with God and worry. You can't be angry. You can't be all these things. And I think people have a hard time understanding that there's a difference between being Christ and being Christ-like. I will never be Christ. I don't have it. I can try to be Christ-like. I can learn lessons. I can repent. I can show love and grace and mercy, but I'm still a human that's going to struggle. I'm still a human that is learning how to deal with other humans. I'm still a human that's learning how to deal with myself. But I feel like the more that I do, the more that I write, the more that I live, and the more that I say, the more I have this like push to be more vulnerable, which is amazing and I love it. But it's also difficult if you're a person that has had your vulnerability mishandled or misused or misinterpreted. But in purpose, you know that you have to do it because obedience is more important than emotions. And a lot of times, if you're in a place where you pray for revelation, no matter how you get it, or if you like how you get it for a reason. So today, instead of just, throwing some positive things out there, I want to talk to you guys about anger, anxiety, depression, all while having faith, all while working on yourself, all while healing. Because I think the most misunderstood part of the healing process is the pain that comes with it. People think that they're going to get saved or they're going to, go to therapy and everything's just going to be wonderful from that point on. It's going to be like rainbows and butterflies and all that has happened won't matter. All that you're going through or things that trigger you, it's nothing. And that's not reality. You're still going to struggle. You're still going to have times where your biggest enemy or critic is yourself. You're going to still deal with people that drain you. You're going to still deal with people that you pray for, that actively prey on you. It's a lot. It's a lot with that journey. But I think if we know that we're not the only ones going through it, it makes it a lot easier. And the other day, a lot of people don't know this, but I have 3 books. Everyone just talks about the 2 because Blooming Bear and The Tears That Taught Me are my bestsellers. And they're the ones that 9 times out of 10 you see quotes from. But my very first book was Questions, Christ, and the Quarter-Life Crisis. And that is really where my journey started. I have so many truths in this book, so many things that I talk about that if you really want to find something bad, I always tell people, like, y'all don't have to make up things about me. I put everything in black and white. Like, the insults are waiting for you. I know a lot of people don't understand or mishandle testimony, so that's always the joke. But I've had struggles. I've made wrong decisions. I've had trial and error periods. That's kind of what like your 20s are. But that's what this book is. And I feel strongly that a lot of the emotions that I've been feeling as of late come from the fact that I need to be more vulnerable and talk about painful things. Not always the lessons from the painful things, but the thick of the painful things that later bring the lessons. And depression is definitely one of those. And in this book, I talk about like that season of life that maybe you're in. So I'm gonna just kind of go about it. But being in those seasons of life where you really just question everything, you know, you don't even know who you are anymore. And the crazy part is you're living that life that you've been wanting to live. You have maybe the children or the job or the spouse or the house or, you know, things that you've worked for that you're happy to have. But there's emptiness, there's confusion, there's confliction. And although you know people see you, or you know that you're around people, you still experience loneliness, or you don't feel seen, or you don't feel understood. And not only by other people, but also from yourself. And it brings all these different things to your life and to your awareness and to your mind that it's overwhelming. And it's like one thing after the next, right? But it's so profound. It's painful but profound, and that's really what I cover in here because it was a lot for me. Always being a people pleaser, a perfectionist, to be in seasons where I was just so lost. I was so confused. I felt so mishandled, so misunderstood, and also all while being in seasons of being still, which means you don't say anything. You just take revelation, which is a beautiful way to live, but it's also a frustrating one because you don't clap back. You take confirmation. You don't react. You take revelation. So it's like you learn a lot. You see a lot, but you also experience like a lot of inner anger because you're dealing with a lot of unexpressed emotions. You deal with a lot of disappointment because there are so many unforeseen just pains. Or, you know, you are living in seasons where what you expect is not what you're experiencing. It's a lot. But I just had to say that today, that depression is real. Anxiety is real. I mean, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, panic and depression when I was 19, when I was in college. I couldn't understand why, when I was taking exams, I thought I had like ADD or something. I couldn't focus. I was just all over the place, couldn't breathe. I cried every day. Like everyone's college experience is like so wonderful. And then you hear mine and you're like, ooh. But I say that because I learned pretty early on that I am a very detail-oriented person. I am a perfectionist. I'm all these things. But detail-oriented comes from suffering with anxiety. Perfection comes with overcompensating for depressive thoughts. There's a lot. There's a lot. And I wouldn't be, I feel, living the purpose or walking in the purpose if I didn't share that with you. If I wasn't honest with you and tell you that I suffer still. Like I can give you advice and because I've learned so much. And I walk in the advice that I give, but I still struggle. There are still times where, you know, I'll tell my husband, I'm like, can you please just come be in the room with me? I can't be by myself. But I'm a person that loves to be alone. There's a lot. But even in those times, I want to bring back the fact that God is with me and God is with you at that time. And if you are a person that's doing inner work, if you're a person that is just, you're on your faith journey, or maybe you're just beginning, know that if you're just beginning, this is the hardest part of the road. Because the more that you're going to give your life, the more that you're going to learn, the more tests that you're going to have, the more revelation that you're going to have. So you're going to have a lot of pushback. You're going to have a lot of things that are going to almost beg for your reaction, that are almost going to beg for you to go off, and you can't, because you're learning self-control. There are going to be things that you're going to discover within yourself. It's going to be some hard pills to swallow, but it's part of it. And as a person that often has to pray or tear down that like spirit of fear, knowing that you have to do all this anyway is something that I wish someone would have told me. I appreciate, lessons. I appreciate people encouraging me. But I think at those times of my life, which is why I'm sharing this now, I feel like it would have meant so much more to me if someone could have said, we all struggle. We all go through it. We're all learning. And I want to always be that person for you, So what you're going through right now, those emotions, whether you're dealing with anxiety, whether you wake up in the morning and you have something on your mind that's bothering you, or you're going to sleep and it's just like you can't be at peace, that's not a reflection of you not doing enough. That doesn't mean that your therapy isn't working. That doesn't mean that God isn't with you. That doesn't mean that your faith is just falling apart and you care more about fear. It's not that. You're a human. And this is a human experience. And the human experience is going to have a lot. It's going to have a lot of ups and downs. Like one of my mentors says, life is a lifeline. It goes up and down. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have times where you are just on cloud nine and you feel good and you feel so much at peace and clarity and joy. And then you're going to have times where it's heavy. You're going to have times that you see and pray for people. And then you're going to also have times where you're going to see those people that you pray for are hurting you. It's part of it. Especially, don't even get me started on generational curses and things like that. Because that's a whole other animal. But what you're going through is profound. You're not in it alone. There's nobody on social media, no matter how good their social media looks, no matter how well edited their vacations or what they post to be. They're still humans. Don't ever compare yourself to anybody online. Nobody has it all together. Nobody is perfect. Everyone deals with something or someone or some thought or some issue, because we are all human. So I'm doing this live a little different, and I think what I want to do is, let's see what time it is. I actually want to answer questions from you. I want to talk to you and see if there's something that you want me to touch on, or maybe something that you're going through that we can bring to the table. Because it's not always, again, what I have to say. This is, I feel like a community, and that's something that while you're doing your questions, something that I really want to bring in the new year. I thought about it, and I've been having a lot of people messaging me, but I really think that it's time for me to take this to a more safe space, to maybe have a private Facebook community, text messages, or even like a Patreon where we can share videos and have live interactions, but it's a safe space where people can't just scroll on and just say what they want, because that's something I noticed too. Like me, if you insult me or you say something rude to me, 9 times out of 10, I won't respond. I mean, that's in person as well. I'll just kind of sit there puzzled and wonder, like, why would you do this? But it's different when people attack other people. And that's something that happened this weekend. I saw that there was a guy that was just going under these different women's posts and just invalidating them, insulting them, and I blocked them. But it really showed me, it's like, it's time to maybe move these conversations to a more safe environment. Still work to make this page a safe space, but maybe create something to where people can be more vulnerable and more open and not worry about trolls. So, do you think that taking meds for anxiety is a sin? No. And that's another person. What do you feel about medication for anxiety? My husband says to turn to God, and I do, but I feel I need more help. Again, this is my opinion, but no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I also feel like there are things here for a reason. Okay, a lot of people, and just mental health in general, like I'm very open about the entire topic. For me, and I'm very open about that, when I went through like my very deep depression, I was in my therapist's office 3 times a week. I was trying different medications because it was so much. I think if you read it, you'll understand in context, but there was so much happening in my mind, in my life. Like I didn't know what to do. Like I went to psychics, I went to shaman, like your girl was looking, okay? Like I needed someone or something to help me. And I went to a psychologist and he was like, look, let's maybe try these different medications. So it wasn't for anxiety that I tried for, it was actually for depression. Now I'm gonna say this because everyone's experience is different. It was terrible for me. It made me worse. It gave me thoughts. I don't even know if I could say this word on here, but as we're on TikTok, to unalive yourself. Certain medications will do that. Like I took one and I lost, I think, like almost 10 pounds in less than 2 weeks. Like you can't just get on things. It's not for everyone. And I did that and I realized, I'm like, look, this is not for me. I can't take antidepressants. Like, let me just keep going to therapy and working on it from that end. However, but don't be scared, because here's another part of it. I have anxiety, because remember I told you I have both. I have anxiety and depression. So there was an anxiety medication that we went back to because, mind you, like I said, when I was in college, I had very severe anxiety and panic attacks. But I was very adamant because I was in therapy, like doing therapy there. I didn't want to be on medication. I'm still like that. Like I'll be sick and I won't even take like Tylenol. Like that's just me. I don't like medication. But I was put on this one anxiety medication, and it's not something that I take every day. In fact, I go once a year and I'll just get them to fill one bottle. And it's almost like, you know how you'll go to a place and it's like break if emergency, that little glass box. That's what that is for me. I think I took maybe 2 in 2022, but I knew it was there. And that's why I tell people, it's like, look, don't let people tell you how you have to manage your mental health. Some people have to be on medication to function. Like, yes, I have, I've had a lot of history with therapy, but also I'm in a church where I have a lot of wise counsel. So I could talk to my pastor. I was at church with her till like 10:15 last night, just talking about what I was feeling and just different lessons that I'm learning or different tests that I'm having. And when you are in those spiritual seasons where you're getting a lot of tests, you are getting an abundance of emotions, because let's be real, anxiety and depression, they are spirits. So you're getting a lot of stuff. So having my pastor, she is essentially like my therapist. In fact, like when I got into my church, I'd gotten through like so many, I guess you can say, my time with therapy diminished because I found her, and she had that mental and spiritual experience and wisdom to where I was able to graduate, I guess you can say, from therapy, because I'm also in an environment where I'm around people that pour into me constantly. Or if I have those thoughts, like I've learned enough throughout my journey to interrupt them. But if I do get to a point that I can't, I'm around people that can help me through them, and that won't take advantage of my vulnerability, that will see me or pick up on it and be like, hey, let's talk about it. Because everyone has it, you know, like they say, every therapist has a therapist. Every person, like every mentor, and I'm learning that in this industry, the people that encourage you have someone that encourages them. You always have to have someone. Like, you can't fill from an empty cup. So that's how I feel about that. So don't feel bad if you are taking medication, whether you have anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, whatever it is. You do what you have to do. And, you know, you pray about it, but talk to wise counsel, whether that wise counsel is your pastor, your therapist, your doctor, but do what you need to do. Let's see. So let me go up, because I know I've seen some other ones. Let's see. So Amy said, yesterday after the chat ended, I experienced a constant spiritual attack. I prayed with you and followed the prayer. What do you think happened? I was literally being tested in every way you can imagine. I ended my day in tears. Wow. So that is the thing that I've had to learn. I don't know if any of you guys, and we're getting on a subject that like some people, they're just getting off. But I'm going to have that like spiritual deliverance conversation with you. And one of the things I've learned, and a lot of people can attest to, is that when you first get on your journey of faith, spiritual awakening, you are going to have some serious tests thrown at you. You're going to have some serious emotions and attacks. And it will literally make you feel like maybe I should just stop. Maybe I should just get off of this. Because before I started going to church or before I started going to therapy, I didn't feel like this all the time. I didn't cry all the time. I wasn't doing this. But a lot of times, and my pastor taught me that tears are essentially a purge. So when I first started going to my church, like the first 4 months, I cried every single service. Like the moment anyone would even sing, it's a wrap. Like I'm gonna be crying for the next 2 hours. My stomach would be messed up. I would cry. Like it was, there were even points that like I felt like, am I gonna pass out up in here? And then I learned that that is a purge. So as you are taking in good things, right? As you are learning, as you are healing, things are coming out. So you're gonna cry more. You're gonna feel these things, but also understand that you're on this faith journey. So as God is putting people and things into your life, the enemy does not want that. And there's this Bible verse that says something along the lines like, you know how the spirits will come and they'll attack you like 7 times harder, like from the enemy. That's essentially what that is. Before I had a serious prayer life, I didn't have half of the attacks that I have now. Before I started doing purpose work, I didn't have even a remotely like close to the attacks that I have now. But the closer you are, the more that they're gonna come. And I don't say that to scare you, but I say that because that's the reality of it. This is something that, you know, they say the enemy, or I guess you can say the devil, he doesn't worry about his own kids. Like he's not attacking them, he has them already. They're living his life. They are doing everything that makes them happy, but destroys them. He's not worried about them. They're doing his work. It's you that he wants. So it's you that he's going to torment. It's you when you're getting your prayer life or your family in order. Something's going to happen. Something's going to trigger you. Oh, you have a breakthrough coming? Well, be ready, because someone's going to cross your path and say something crazy to you to where you're not focusing on the job that you have at hand. You're in your mind focusing on what some clown just told you. And the annoying part about it is these things, it's a pattern. And what's frustrating for me and a lot of Christians is like, we'll get in this place where, okay, now I'm dealing with depression. Now I'm dealing with anxiety. And I took the bait. The enemy comes to me like this every single time. And I took the bait. And you have to get to that. And I've had a lot of comments come through since, so I don't know where the thing's at, but the enemy will use your people. The enemy will use your family to get to you. The enemy will use what is comfortable to make you so uncomfortable. And that is painful. That is a hard thing to navigate, because you are over here trying to protect yourself and your family and your peace. And it's almost like you always have to be ready. You always have to be prepared for what's coming. And it's so tempting to let fear fill that space of self-preservation, because you know something or someone wants to attack it. You just don't know when. You just don't know who. And I feel like it needs to be said, because I was just telling my husband this, as a person that this time of the year is always very hard for me. Like, I deal with a lot of just depression at this time of year. So it's hard for me to go around people. But this is also a season, like I said, when I pray for revelation, that God tests me, and I know that I'm being tested. So I know that when I'm being tested, I have to keep my mouth closed and my eyes open. I have to not be reactive. And God has literally been putting me in environments, in situations, and conversations around people, because he wants to see if I can apply what I've learned. And he also wants me to see in other people or in other places what I need to know to move forward. And it's hard. It's hard. But someone just said, but discernment is key. Discernment is key. And having discernment, having wise counsel, having faith, having that open communication, and even having people to talk to like this. You may never meet me. I may never meet you. You may never meet the people that you're conversing with during this live, but there's a reason why they're there right now. There's a reason why I'm here right now to talk about the things that we're talking about. And Joan is saying it. The enemy's distractions are real. No matter what people try to convince you of, people will do things to trigger you and then point the finger at you if you react to them. So you can't. So that's why it's important to know that when you're in seasons of a revelation, you don't react. You don't say anything, no matter what it is. And I know that is so against what a lot of us are taught, and it goes against our ego and our pride and our flesh. But when you pray for that specific thing, it's one thing if you're just living life and something happens, but if you specifically pray for something, you have to take it and you have to walk with it and handle accordingly. Let's see. Yeah, your peace is your power. Definitely. Definitely so. Virginia said, I got the Tears That Taught Me for Christmas and read the whole thing the next day. Absolutely love your books. Well, that's awesome. And thank you so much. I've been seeing a lot of people get their books for Christmas, and it's exciting to see. And I'm so grateful that this is where the journey has taken me with the books, and just really writing my experiences and my lessons and connecting with people so that they can know that they're not alone in what they experience, or they can look at their experiences or emotions through a different light. So that's always what I try to aim for. See something? Where do we purchase your books? You can purchase them on modernmorgan.com. They're also on Amazon. So yeah, definitely look there. And yes, this is a great talk. And I'm happy, like I said, I took this approach. It's definitely a lot smaller than when I usually get on, because of this type of flow we have. It's not just giving advice or just giving a word. It's a different energy because it's a conversation, and I appreciate that. I really do. I think that having these types of conversations, or hard or misunderstood conversations, is what really helps people, especially if you're in a place where you feel like you're the only one that feels that way, or you're the only one that is maybe experiencing like a shift in your life. Like for me, sometimes, and I'll say that and not in an ugly way, but I'm the only person in my family that goes to a full gospel church. I'm the only one that is very much into that spiritual, mental health realm. So it's difficult at times, because I know that the things that I want to say, I can't, because there's no point. And that sounds bad, but sometimes you learn that sometimes your words just have to be kept to yourself if they're not going to be received properly or respected. So I was talking to one of my cousins actually this weekend, and she was saying how, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating when you see something so clearly, or you've worked on yourself, or you've made choices to better yourself in your life and your faith and your mental wellness, and then you're around people that just don't get it, that just don't want to get it. It's very disheartening, because you can't say anything to them, even if they say something crazy. Like, if you come into an agreement with a fool, you're a fool too. So you have to let them, you just gotta let them be. And that's the part that I think It's hard for a lot of us. And I'm not saying that like your family or my family or people, they don't know anything. It's not that. But when it comes to this conversation, it's not for everyone. So our words are powerful too, and we have to guard our tongue. Like the Bible says, life and death are in the power of the tongue, yes. And what we say about ourselves and what we say about other people. You know, I think we live in a world that finds it more like acceptable to talk about people than it is to detach from them, which is wild to me. Like it's more socially acceptable to gossip, to assume, to slander, to disrespect people behind their back than it is for you to just cut ties with them, to just not engage with them. It's a weird thing. And that's the best word I could use. It's weird because it makes no sense. You know, a lot of people, when they are attacked or someone says something to them that's disrespectful, or they call them out of their name, or they say something to trigger them, they take the bait immediately. Or they say, well, that's not true, or why would you say that? Why would you do that with that person? I'm a firm believer, like, you don't give your side to people that aren't asking for it, and you don't answer to names that are not your own. I will look at you like you are speaking another language if you say something to me that I know that does not apply to me. But one thing I'm not going to do is explain myself to you or bargain with you or communicate with you further, because you don't want a side. You don't want an explanation. You don't want a story. You don't want anything. You want a reaction. You want attention, or you want scoop. And those are just things that you don't get from people like me. And I say people like me because I've learned, like, spiritually driven people, we will let you keep whatever you're saying or doing. And we will politely walk out your life and maybe never see you again. And it's not a flex, but that's just how people, I can honestly say, like me are. Like, I will call a spade a spade. I will not get in any arguments. And I might let you keep your story. Heck, if your story's good, I might just keep it too. Our compensation might be different, but I will not correct you. I will not correct anything concerning that or you. But trust and believe, in my world, I will be compensated. And that word means very different things for people that live in the spiritual or worldly type of lifestyle. So yeah, you have to guard your tongue. And you have to be mindful that what you, like someone says, offenses will come. What you engage with, no matter how tempting it is, what you engage with is what you give agreement to. I never understood that growing up. Like, I really didn't. And you'd hear that from wise people, you know, but it's very true. Like, I can't come into agreement with you. I can't entertain you. Because it's just, what am I going to get out of that? There is nothing for me to get out of that. There's nothing for you to get out of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do not have to receive every word spoken to us. That's right. So yeah, a lot of you guys are definitely on the same page, but yeah, I feel like I don't know how long I've been on here, and I'm taking quite a bit of your time, but I feel like, let me read this one thing and it might go with you, and I'll close up. But for the person that is in this season that is just going through a lot of just mental attacks, emotional attacks. In my book, Questions Christ in the Quarter Life Crisis, just to give it some context, I think this is in chapter 2. I was in a season where I was so depressed. And very few people, I'd say the real people in my life, the people that were closest to me, only they knew what was really going on. And honestly, till this day, in a lot of ways, they are the only ones that know everything. Everything I felt, everything I went through, everything that I didn't express. It later came out through words in my books, but they know what everything means, if that makes any sense. But if you are a person that connects with this, I want you to understand that you're not alone in what you're going through. And then this chapter, I am talking about, let's see what chapter. This is the chapter of emptiness. And the chapter before is what's going on, and the chapter after is depression. So just to give you a little context. But I said the problem that most of us have is that we are trying to make others understand the depths of our confusion in the very same seasons that we are most confused. Those are not times to explain ourselves to people or try to get them to side with us or understand us. Those are the times in our lives where we are trying with everything in us to figure it out. All my life, I felt like I had to hold my tongue for everything. Speaking or standing up for how I felt was not an option. I avoided defending myself or rocking the boat and often found myself taken advantage of. I kept my mouth shut and a smile on my face because the only thing I hated more than the feeling of being ignored or misunderstood was the fear and tension that stemmed from confrontation. I purposely chose not to fight battles with anyone or anything around me and wound up creating a war within myself. I found myself angry at the world and a prisoner of it. It was exhausting to feel, but even more exhausting to keep up the facade. Before long, I couldn't take it anymore. I started getting what people would likely call mood swings, and I began experiencing times of agitation that stemmed from resentments and the suppression of my feelings. It got to the point that I had to say something. And I later go on and, really describe what I was feeling, but what led from there was seeking advice and seeking solace, or just seeking to be heard and learning the hard way that not everyone that wants to help you genuinely wants to help you. Not everyone that sees you in a weak spot is praying for you. Some people are praying on that. There are some people that you consider your friends or your family that are more concerned about scoop than they are about the validity of your suffering or the struggles that you're going through. And then people look at you and wonder why you don't speak, or why you don't go around, or why you don't talk, or why you don't do things. And they fail to see that it's because in your most vulnerable moments, in your most painful seasons, when you look to them, they gave you nothing. When you needed them, you knew that they would talk about you and not talk to you or for you. And those are hard lessons for us to live, but it's also lessons for us to learn about ourselves, is that we are humans. They are humans. And the only person that we can fully depend on is God. But to have discernment. Have discernment. There are people, I remember, even telling my husband, I remember hearing things about me that most people would have oh, I'm going to go and set this straight. I'm going to do that. And I said, nothing at all. Because let me tell you a nice little life lesson and core belief that I have. If you are a person that shows me what you do with people's gossip, with people's silence, with people's pain, if you show me how you handle that, I will not give you the opportunity to mishandle my vulnerability, mishandle my truth, mishandle anything concerning me. I will let you keep what you think. And I will keep what I know, and I will keep moving forward without you. And that is something that we all must learn to do. If we want to grow spiritually, and if we want to grow mentally, you have to protect your mind. You have to be mindful of everything that you're experiencing, but also know when it's time to just hold on to revelation about yourself and those around you. Let's see, if your husband wasn't there for you, how do you think your life would be? I ask because I think that having a close partner can help so much with dealing with these mental struggles. If I didn't have Rusty, I really don't know what I would do. Rusty and I have been together 14 years. And out of everybody I know, I honestly say, my husband knows every part of me. He knows everything about me, good, bad, everything about me and my life and my thoughts and my struggles and my strengths. And he helps me so much. He really does. He's the more logical one. I'm a very emotional person, Rusty's the logical person, and we also have very different backgrounds. So we face things differently. Like, we always laugh and I say, like, if we would make a book, we should do a book together. Like, we should write one just to show the difference. And he's like, well, mine's gonna be short, because he's very straight to the point. Like me, I will feel things so deeply, and I put myself in other people's shoes a lot, which could be good and also bad. Rusty is more, it is what it is. I am who I am. They are who they are. Like, Rusty will learn a lesson, or he'll see someone for how they are, and that's it. He's not expecting for another person to show up. He's not expecting for them to be any other way but the way that they are. I struggle with that. I am the one that's like, I'm praying for this, and there could be a turnaround, and these people could do this, blah, 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 blah. And that's where I get my feelings hurt. My faith sometimes will lead me to very hurt feelings. But I say that because he is a lot more logical. And I keep saying that. He's a lot more logical than me. He lives a lot more in the present than I do. And he's had to deal with different life experiences that I didn't. So, you know, like we say that, like, there's a difference between living a life of survival versus a life to thrive. Like, there are certain things that he had to worry about growing up that I didn't. There were real world issues that he had to deal with that I wasn't even aware of till I got older. So he has a lot of street smarts, and he can pick up on if someone has ulterior motives. He can pick up on if someone's playing games. He can pick up on all that, where I can do that, but it might take me a little while, you know? So he is a person that I feel safe with, and he is definitely my protector in all ways. And he's very honest with me. I'm very honest with him. He's very honest with me, and he'll tell me, like, nope, you're wrong in doing this, or no, I understand what you're saying, but just don't think like this, or don't let this get to you. So he balances me a lot, and I'm very grateful for him. So yeah, that was a good question. So I think what I'll do is I'll wrap up. I might come back later on when I'm not, you know, crying. But I thank you guys so much for the conversation. It was really good to share this message with you, and also have that open communication. So I will work on that membership, like I said, to where it'll just be a safe space for us, and have exclusive content, have one-on-one, you know, lives and things like that. But yeah, this has definitely confirmed that for me. And I hope that there's something that I said that brought you peace or confirmation, or made you feel like you're not alone on the journey, that you're right on the mark. No matter how slow you think the progress is, or how much you struggle with things, it's part of it. The tears are part of it. The trials, the tests, they're part of it. Just keep working, keep praying, keep believing, and just keep moving forward. I promise you it's for a greater purpose, and the person you were created to be will definitely thank you for it. So hope you guys have a great day. And like I said, I might be on tonight. We'll see. So I'll talk to you soon.